first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of the Tuesday, March 12th meeting.
Here, I'll give this to John.
I actually have, I think I got it, but thank you,
Yep.
rather than digging her.
Thank you.
Yes.
Everyone have a chance to review the minutes? I did by email. Any amendments? None? Is there any objection to approving those minutes as written? No. Hearing none, that the minutes will be approved by unanimous consent. And the monthly warrant and payment of the bills. So we were sent a warrant and we have also a new budget as well, which is great to give us even more information than we usually have. Thank you very much for that.
That's awesome. Really helpful.
I don't understand it.
Let me get. Open.
No Norm tonight?
Norm is not feeling well, so that's, he's not going to be
Is
able
that
to
his
be here
too?
Sorry, so-
I'll make a motion to approve the warrant
I'll
for
second.
April.
For a total of $22,979, no, less than that. 26,
26,86415,
there you go.
unless it's changed from what I saw.
Nope, I was looking at before withholding.
No, we don't have anything that's changed on this for once. Yep.
Okay. And just for the record, is it the fuel oil that's purchased from Mirabito Energy
Yeah.
Products, which is Kelly Fuels was purchased by that company or something, so it's just a name change, is that right? And
What's the BGS Fed surplus? Oh, that's the
The two pieces of equipment.
that he bought, right?
Yes. And, yes. And included in the People's, there should be a People's United check. Included in that is the $300 towing charge for one of those.
okay.
Okay.
And yeah, so the BGS, the government surplus program is working, extremely well to our benefit. We just acquired another piece of machinery, a full-size 1972 Cat bulldozer, which is an incredible piece of machinery for $500.
It's a monster.
It's amazing, and the stated purpose of the program is to reinvest in communities because we've already, as federal taxpayers, purchased these items, and I, for one, am very happy to make a civil use of a military vehicle because I can't protest paying taxes into military spending, but I can take military surplus and put it to civilian use, which I think is a good
And
use.
John, further to that, also this month, we received a check from the auction site for a couple of pieces that have been put out there. One was a truck that was purchased in 2017 for $500, sold it for $6,100. So if you wait your 18 months,
Which one was that?
that was
that
the
the larger
bucket
truck?
truck.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. And then there was also a chipper.
And we certainly do, we use the program to purchase items that we use in our, in projects that we have in store. And also, it's absolutely to the benefit of neighboring villages and towns as well. So, we we're encouraging our crew to reach out to Shaftesbury, Arlington, and other towns to say, hey, let's work together. If you have a piece of machinery and we have a different piece, then we can exchange services. It's to everybody's benefit. Okay, so
There is a motion.
there is a motion
And second.
pending. Sorry, that's been
Sorry.
extended discussion on those spending items, but I did get word that some people do watch this on Facebook and YouTube, so just trying to put the information out there. So in the amount of $26,864.15. Is there any objection to the approval of that warrant? Hearing none, again, that will pass by unanimous consent. Be approved. And the other bill is the payroll. And there's flagging for brush cutting, a few hours by Jack Bowden, and just normal pay periods for Norm and Zach, and winter bonuses that were approved at the last meeting. So the total amount is $9,001.20. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And is there any objection to the approval of payment of the payroll?
Nope.
Hearing none, that will be approved. And so, citizen comments. I think we can just go through in order tonight because there's no reason to skip around because Mr. LeBlanc can't be here tonight, so
Yep.
we don't need to go first with that. So the citizen comments, I have received a couple over the last couple weeks. One is concerning a serious problem of excessive refuse and deterioration of a property on Water Street. I don't know the exact address of that, but it's something like 935 or something in that neighborhood. It would be on the west side of Water Street, just after the Baptist church. And so I've been asked about whether the village can do something in terms of that it certainly is violating several of our zoning ordinances and our municipal ordinances. And so thinking more about that, I think that a violation letter always comes from the zoning administrator. So even though village residents generally seek us out to sort of voice, concerns, and that's what they should do. And so people have talked to me, but I will pass that information on to Chris Damon and have him do that because that's the normal process in which they do. But I think the standard procedure is to issue a letter saying that you're in violation and that there would be fines associated with that if it doesn't get cleaned up within the notice on the letter. Then it would go to our attorney, and the attorney would pursue an injunction through the court to either remove and charge or just deal with it. But that would be the zoning administrator overseen by the development review board. So that's what we're going to do with that issue. There's also a concern by Jean, is it Burkhart? Or Bright Owl? Burkhart on the corners of Overly Madison Mechanic, right at the intersection there, had recently there were some people that were tearing through the intersection there on the grass, and so we had put some rocks there and barrels to prevent that from happening. And she had thought that some people were out there late at night over the last weekend trying to move those rocks so that they could kind of get around. Then the next day, Norm had put those back. But then following that, she had, on more than one occasion, had beer bottles and stuff come into her lawn, and then a liquor bottle had thrown at her door and smashed her storm door. She has a glass storm door and just broke the whole door. So she did report that to police, and I said, it's good that they know when these things are happening so that they could put it together with something else potentially if other things were happening the same night or whatever. But
This was recently?
it was not this past weekend, but the weekend before. So we would encourage anybody that's experienced any kind of vandalism, especially that kind of thing, to report it to the police, because again, if there's multiple incidents, then they can put that stuff together. And if they do get somebody for that, then they usually say, oh, what about this, this, and this? And if they admit to multiple things, then there can be some resolution there. Plus, if you don't report something, then you wouldn't potentially get the victim compensation that you could see from the state. So I talked to her about that, but I just wanted to let other people know about that. And then the one other issue that I had was about there's a couple of requests about the intersection of privately owned land and publicly owned land or administered land. And I know that Aaron and I both got a couple of questions to us. One that I got was that apparently the sign on Mac Drive has been stolen at least once. I think they were saying it twice. Okay. And I don't know if the first time that it got stolen, there may have been another sign available, and then that was put back, and now that one's been stolen too. But
This one, the second time it went missing is when they started doing the water line work.
okay.
So it's been missing since then.
Okay. And so, obviously, the concern with a missing road sign is that if there's an emergency, then the emergency response has a harder time knowing where the road is, or which road is which. But the sticking point is that with a private road that's not a village maintained asset, those things are handled privately. If the road needs to be maintained or paved or whatever, then that's the private responsibility because it was put in privately. So if the village had put the road in to begin with, then the village would do the sign and everything to do with the road, drainage and all that. So my thinking on any kind of private road or property would be that it's the landowner responsibility to maintain that, and we'd certainly be happy to provide the ordering of sign or whatever to make it consistent with everything else, but that and if we got a discount or something like that, then they could go through the village, but that it would be the property owner responsibility there.
Do you have a,
I do want to just say though that if there's a different opinion on that, and that I'm open to it, but that's sort of my reading of it, is that I can't, as a public official, I can't use the public funds to maintain a private cause. So That's my initial reading on that, but if somebody had, tells me, well, I've called, the Secretary of State and they said that, because it's a 911 thing that you do have to do that, then I'm completely open to being wrong. But it's, at least initially, that was my thought, and I didn't know if anybody else maybe had a history with this, or,
I recall the history of that sign in the past, and I think we had, I think it's right, we had one, so we replaced it once, but I think the point then was also that, well, it's not a public road.
Okay.
Do you have an association?
No,
Who takes care of the road?
haphazard.
Really? Okay. I think, how's it being removed? Is the sign being cut
Sign.
at the base, or is it being?
No, I think in the case of the water, I think it was down when they were doing work, and it seems to me that the whole thing just disappeared. Because they had to, when they had all those big trucks coming in, everything along the front there was moved out. I guess a question,
so if, and a different suggestion would be, I don't think that there would be an issue with, if you wanted to purchase the sign, that Norm could,
the homeowners
come
on
over
that
and put it
road
up
would
for you.
have to get together and agree to bear that cost.
That, but I think that Norm can order it and
Sure.
get it and then put it up.
Okay.
Because I don't think that's too, it's
Okay.
just putting it on. And we had discussed a couple of options in terms of like either twisting off the end of the bolt or just touching it with a welder or something so that it couldn't be unscrewed. Because I think obviously that's probably what's happening. It's
There's-
not
yeah.
destroyed.
There's solutions
Is
there.
it a matter of that the road is a private road, so therefore the name of the sign is on a private road? Because I would have assumed that there's an easement from where that sign is, because it's on Overly,
Okay.
that it's actually on public space.
Even if it
I
is,
don't know.
it's still
But it's
it's
still-
making notice of a private road.
It's still making that.
And there are other private roads, I think probably in the village, that don't have
That
any
makes
signs
sense,
at all.
I just wasn't sure exactly
Although-
what the.
Even Rich Road has a little sign down there, that little,
Is the post still there, or are they just taking the?
Yeah.
No, I don't believe the.
I think the whole thing was taken down while they were doing the
That's
work, and
what
then
I
what
think.
happened was it was an easy lift, and somebody walked with the whole thing.
Yeah.
So in some ways, the people having done the work would be responsible for that, but, we're not talking
Yeah.
about a huge amount of money here.
Question everyone with the name of that.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I didn't
It might be worth a call or an email to
Yeah.
the engineer at Otter Creek. I mean,
That was done,
oh, okay.
and they,
Okay.
yeah,
They just said,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Sorry.
didn't recall anything
Yeah,
about it.
of course not. I think you gotta get together with your neighbors.
Okay.
You could erect your own, probably, maybe not on that right of way, but further in, your own little thing. But there may well be state statute about 911 stuff, and if so, but we're gonna put that in the hands of you all to figure out, and if it ends up that we're required to replace it.
I do know that there was one person on that road that had asked about it.
I think that's who I got the letter from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lydia or something.
Yep.
And that's not that person, but I actually.
So maybe there's a
Yeah.
few.
I may have gotten 2 questions about that,
Okay.
but it's been a while, and I think the first question was way back when they were doing the water work, so I asked the engineer.
So the other issue that we've been alerted to is sort of points out the direction that this takes, which is that, I guess some, residents on Bromley Lane have asked about the town taking over maintenance of that road. And, that's really an impossibility, because, for one, I don't think that the village right now is, entertaining any ideas of expanding our road maintenance. But in addition, when villages or municipalities do take over private roads, they usually do so in such a way that the road is brought to a certain specification that the village then agrees to maintain going forward, because it's a very large undertaking to maintain a road in perpetuity. That's a huge amount of money if you think about it, you know, calculated out to the 500-year mark or whatever that we're gonna have to.
It's also, you know, it's a legal surveying, easement
Yeah.
right away or direct gift of that parcel. That road doesn't meet the
And
standard.
just practically speaking, and this, you know, probably is just makes the whole thing kind of a moot point, is that there's no way that a plow could go down there and turn around and come back up. If it was a cul-de-sac or something like that,
You have
that's
to
one
put-
thing.
You have to put a big turnaround.
But yeah,
Big trucks.
it would be, it just would be a massive undertaking for very little payoff on either side. Frankly, for the homeowner, there wouldn't be really a payoff, and for the village, there wouldn't either, so.
Especially when they see the size of the turnaround required.
Yeah, exactly.
It,
Going onto their property.
There'll be no yard left.
so we, you know,
No.
I'm sorry that that's not an option, but I don't think it is. So the other, issue that we have tonight before us, and we have, Mr. Gray here to discuss as our tree warden, a new planting, proposed for Lincoln Park. And, I've reviewed that proposed space, and I think it looks great for the tree that is, proposed to be there. So if you want, do you want to just describe the tree and the purpose
Sure.
of it and
Yeah, it's the, what would you call that, the bottom of Lincoln Square. Basically right in front of Pangea. There's a little green strip there. And the North Clinton Tree Committee would like to plant a tree in memory of Maurice Kahn. He was very fond of that park. And so we're planning, we do an annual Arbor Day planting with the graded school for over 20 years now. And this will be our Arbor Day celebration. And it'll be a flowering dogwood, Cornus Florida, white blossoms, probably 25 feet maximum. The wires are clear there. You know, even if it gets to full size maturity, it's still safe there. And should be a beautiful tree, kind of visible from Prospect Street, West Street, kind of highly visible, and a beautiful tree. So,
Yeah, I've reviewed this, and I think it's a fine spot for a tree, and it's the right specimen, and I think you worked with Mr. Pembroke, and who's the expert, and you know what would be good there, and I think
so
that space could use a little something, so I don't think there's any further approval really needed for that.
with your approval, we'll let the village school know. Also, it's May 10th. I think it's 2:15 in the afternoon. So if any of you can make it. it's a
Is that the
celebration.
Friday?
It's a Friday.
Yeah.
I have it.
I worry a little bit about that, you know, we'd always drag the kids out to these different places, and that's kind of a heavily trafficked area. It might even be worth asking our beloved fire department
Where's it go?
to
Yeah, that was good.
maybe close off, and they, you know, they probably can't close the main route, but they could kind of close the,
Or at least
you
make-
couldn't turn there, and you could close the section on the power side, and so that they could gather on that side.
Possibly with just someone directing traffic to slow things down, or.
Yep.
But I mentioned that to Susan Weinberg, who's our secretary and treasurer. She wasn't sure if she should just ask the school if they wanted to arrange for that, or if we should try and arrange for that, or we're open to suggestions. We definitely want to make sure that it's safe there that day.
I think if the tree committee could ask the chief of the fire department to
Fire department.
arrange that,
People
that-
ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would work.
Okay.
It would be, I mean, it's an hour or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the traffic can be diverted. so you can take a left on stage to, if you need to go that way, and if you're going the other way, then you just have somebody standing at Nash so they can go through Nash.
Yep.
So it wouldn't,
Okay.
it would be easy to,
Sure.
Yeah, I would contact Ed Myers,
Okay.
Chief Myers, and see if he can't have a few, I'm sure he can't be there,
Right.
but there are always people who, you know, whether it's the Halloween thing or whatever, that would be willing to,
I'll get his number from you.
yeah, I can get it too.
and I agree with Matthew though that I don't want to get into a situation where tree plantings have to be approved by the board, because I think it's well within the prerogative of the tree committee to plant on any type of village, but it's always great to, especially in a prominent location,
That's what I
to
figured.
say, hey, do you foresee any issue with this?
Right.
So we appreciate you letting us know about that, but
Sure.
there's certainly
Okay.
no objection on this side.
We planted things in the Little League field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woodland Hill and different places, but being that this is so centrally located,
Yeah.
I thought, good, good to get your approval.
You know, we mentioned the other night, you know, we're concerned about whether it's over one of those water lines near the, you know, but I mean, wouldn't hurt to give a heads up to the water department. But I think the whole point is that now is, right, Dave, you can talk to, but that whole thing is new
It's new.
and deep.
Yeah.
And as you recall, the Ginkgo sat there in an island of its own for months and months while they dug around it, so.
Sure. I could ask Dave if he knows where the line is. He can find out from Steve.
Yeah. But I think you know, there's not only that, there's also a large drop inlet that runs down underneath that part of the road, possibly right under that. But again, those are not things that are gonna be dug up again in the lifetime of that
Not true.
dogwood, yeah. It's not a ginkgo, that, you know,
It's not a 100-year tree.
yeah. No, I'd say plan on it and get the word out.
Okay. I can get Ed's number
Yeah.
sometime.
Yep.
Email it to me.
Okay, great. Thank you for
Thank you,
being
Jeff.
here tonight.
Sure.
Really appreciate that.
It's my pleasure.
Okay. So I think the other two items I have on my list are for new business, so. Any other citizen comments that anybody's aware of?
I know that we're through the round table, they're organizing to work in collaboration with the town of Bennington to share the townwide tag sale in July. So that'll be something that is in the works, and you can sign up to have your stuff advertised so you get more traffic. I believe it's July 13th.
Where is that?
It's everywhere.
Townwide.
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah, so Bennington will have it and North Bennington will collaborate, so it's all on the same day. But they'll put out a listing of like the big stuff that you're selling, and I think it's like a very nominal fee to get on the listing. And that way everyone who has a tag sale on the same day might get a lot of traffic.
But others who don't want to advertise can just have a tag
Just have a
sale?
tag sale, yeah.
They don't need to pay a fee, or is it gonna be,
I
right?
don't think so.
That
You
would
just
be
won't get the
difficult.
advertising.
Right.
Yeah, it won't be, people won't know where to go necessarily, but if you,
It's a tag sale, they'll figure it
It'll
out.
be like an electronic map, so
Oh, cool.
people that are from out of the way will have all the locations, you know, with the little blips
Thanks.
on their map. I think, wasn't it like $5 or something?
It was like $5.
Something nothing to.
It was a very nominal fee to get listed.
Very cool.
one other thing is that we're continuing exploring the project of remediating the water issue on West Street, Upper West Street, I'll call it, by the Mile Around Woods. And there's two pending proposals which are not to a final stage yet, so we're continuing to work with the landowners there to figure out what works best with that situation. It's, water is the common enemy, as it's known in legal terms, so unfortunately we can't make it disappear, but we'll try to do what we can to mitigate, because I know in order to improve the road, we have to deal with the water issue. It's not, I don't think that there's any point in improving the road unless we can know that it's not gonna immediately.
I was driving out there tonight and on the Bennington side of the line, there's some paint and markings on the middle of the road, and there's a big cone barrel in the middle of the road. And I don't know what is going on there. I don't,
Right
there's,
side?
yeah, way over, past,
Down by where the farm is. on the
yeah,
left there.
getting towards that. And I don't know if there shouldn't be any lines there. And I know that the water isn't gonna extend, so I don't know what they're doing. But
Huh.
Norm probably knows what's going on.
Okay, so how about we move on to the treasurer's report?
Sure.
Okay.
So first thing, let me just make a couple comments on the budget versus actual report. Thank you for your feedback, I appreciate that. It's been a long process to do this. So I did take the liberty, as I said in my notes, they were just condensing some of the accounts that we had. And an account is anything on this list that has a number in front of it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if you look down and you see 50 general expenses, that counts as an account. Now, the reason I did that is to be able to sort things and group them together. The other way of doing this would be making Lori do a whole lot more work, and I'm not gonna do that. Because it would not be, it would just never, it would be very difficult to put these reports together the way they are. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and probably make a couple of other changes to this as we go along, just as I look at things. For instance, if you look down the list halfway down the first page, 5130, printing annual report. I'm not going to use an account. I don't see the need for having an account for one number once a year. So I will merge this into general office expenses. And that will save us another account, and there's no reason to budget for that line, but we'll know that that's one number in this whole thing. But that's just kind of the housekeeping issue of getting this to look the way it is. The real purpose of this is making it an analytic tool so that you can look and see where are we and what things might be of concern. So the first thing is, if you look at the very end, you might say, not at the very end, but the third page where it's got after the total expenses, before you look at the grant stuff, it shows that we have basically used, we have 22% of our budget left, which is about right. You would think, right where we are, we think, okay. However, we haven't funded any of our reserves out of here yet. So if we were to fund all the reserves, there are a couple of things here where we would possibly be over budget by the time we get to the end of the year. But there are still things that are kind of in the works. If the biggest things that I think we should be paying attention to are starting on page 2. 3/4 down the way, you'll see that we have 98% of the budget remaining, at least for road repairs. But that's fine, because this is the type of time of year where we're gonna be doing a lot of road repairs. If you look at the line right below that, culverts, it looks like we're way over. The reason for this is we're still waiting for our $30,000 for that Water Street repair to that culvert that was done. And I'm getting a little concerned as to where this is, because it was supposed to be last fall. And I know Norm's actually gone to the office and made a visit to find out what was going on. But I don't really know what the next step is, but I'd like to get a fire lit under somewhere, because we don't need to leave any part of our $30,000 that just gets.
And we're
lost.
certain with the ambiguity of which some of these checks arrive from the state with no designation, that it wasn't paid.
No, clearly.
It was not
It was
paid.
absolutely never came in. And when Norm asked about it about a month ago, they acknowledged that
Okay.
there was some paperwork snafu on that office's part, but I just bring that up to alert you that I'm getting very concerned about where that is, and I don't even know what agency it was that's involved in that.
That was
Where to go look
was that the
next.
FEMA? Was that the FEMA grant after the?
Yeah, it was a,
It was after that.
it was a,
Yeah.
it was a direct request to
Yeah.
FEMA through the regional,
Okay,
through the
V-Trans
V-Trans
regional office.
okay, V-Trans.
it did not go through VCRC.
Okay.
No, that's correct, it did not go through there, so, well, next. I
Because
will-
normally, they do the payment requests and I sign the request that they prepare
Mhm.
and for all of our reimbursements, but they weren't, it was a direct project because it's a small project
Mhm.
and it was emergency money. So
That's right.
it was-
So,
But I think Norm should have the contact at the V-Trans office on Bullock Road. so-
I kind of thought I'd ask him tonight if he knew any follow-up, but I'll follow up on that. But that's a big bunch that we're waiting
Okay.
for, because that would have a significant impact. If we got our 80 or 90%, I think it's only 80%, but still, if we get that back, then I don't have any concern. You can see, we did spend $18,000 on the sidewalks. That was Holton Street in there. It was not my recollection that we were planning to use our sidewalk reserve for that. We just simply built that into the budget that we did. And when you look at the budget number, whether it belongs on one line or the other, we just budgeted $90,000 in total for that highway maintenance, and we never said at the time which component of maintenance that was gonna go into, so that was just my guess to put $10,000 on that line. We still have close to 40% of that budget left, even more when we add the reimbursement in on that, so I'm not that worried about it, but
What about the sale of the truck? What if that happens to fall before June 30th?
the sale of the, what do you,
To Shaftesbury? you mean?
Yeah, because that would be 35,000 or so.
anything that happens before June 30th goes into this fiscal year. It's not so much the cash flow that I'm worried about,
It's the budget.
It's just maintaining our budget. And the other thing is, we have budgeted for this highway maintenance, and then we had the carryover from last year,
Yeah.
from the previous year, to be expended in this fiscal year. So I guess I'm not really worried about blowing up the budget, but I just don't want that reimbursement to linger on for another few months, and then all of a sudden it's another fiscal year,
Right.
and somehow we've missed
I got you.
Yep.
the deadline on it.
Okay.
So just something to keep an eye on. New equipment, it always looks like we're over budget on here, but that's because on the very first page, the sale of equipment, I haven't moved revenue into the expense categories because I kind of like to keep revenue as revenue. But we always supplement our new equipment with the sale of equipment, and that is, as we sit here today, 10,000. And then on the third page, I'm not sure whether it's a budgeting issue or not, but our our gas and diesel seems to be a lot higher than we budgeted. And I don't know whether it's usage, whether we're not billed correctly, whether we're getting somebody else's bill, or whether it's just a budgeting error. So it's something that I will ask Norm about and look into, but that was,
Is this
A number
the
that
fuel
jumped out.
for the trucks, not fuel oil for the buildings?
it's going in, it's all going in under the gas and diesel.
Gas and oil?
Yeah, gas and
53,
oil,
55.
excuse me, gas, oil, diesel.
Oh.
We have a couple of other accounts, just as an aside, that
Oh, okay.
Norm had asked to set up under here, like to track what gas goes in for the mower and what oil goes to. It's not really possible to break those out on the bills, so I'm just gonna scrap that idea.
Okay. Well, fuel prices are are higher than they have been,
Okay.
and I suspect there was a significant increase in mileage driven this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
That
Norm
might
would
make
have a better
sense.
sense of that.
Okay, that might make sense, but that was just an unusual number.
The only thing I can think of is that, we have gas and diesel for the fire department too.
Oh.
And they have their own account.
Yeah, they do have this.
So I don't know if.
It's possible, I guess I can look into that. As I'm studying some of the questions came out. I also want to point out that under again, on that third page, under the highway garage, the total highway dash garage, which is kind of a maintenance line, it looks like we're over budget, but that's primarily that winter rent that went in there for that,
right.
unit, and
We hadn't budgeted for
clearly, yeah,
that.
that was an unbudgeted thing. So at this point, there's certain things in here that I'm gonna keep an eye on, but I am not concerned that we are gonna be of any significance over budget, and there's still the opportunity for other things to come in. So,
But the biggest item, the payments on vehicles and stuff like that is all about 75-25 or so. So we're right on schedule with that stuff. I mean, we have to.
yes,
because-
You mean the payment, the monthlies on
Yeah.
on the
yeah.
loans, yeah.
Okay.
So just kind of as you look at this, I know every time I pick it up, I circle something and say, well, I better
Right.
drill down into this. So just let me know if you see anything, because it's easy enough now to drill on a number and print you a report for any detail that's in anything. So keep an eye on that. The other thing, since I've really been slacking, that I was working on is, and I want to share this with you because there's some changes here on our cash balances. And I want to leave Lord with this. I went and did a review with the bank where all of our accounts were because I wanted to make sure that everything that we have is under FDIC insurance. And sure enough, it wasn't, because we had too many different CDs that weren't. So now if you look at this, you'll see like a highway, it says highway reserve sweep, and then I've got a sidewalk reserve, a backhoe, a truck and tractor. All of these things are underneath. So all of this money is now into one big sweep account. Not only do we get better interest, not by much, but it's a little bit better. It was 0.01, now it's 0.15. Yippee.
Wow.
But now it's all FDIC insured. And the same thing under the general reserves. They still can track all the money for each of these. If anything comes and goes, I'll still have subtotals for all of these accounts, including the interest earned, so we can allocate interest appropriately. But we're FDIC insured now on everything.
Good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
And the only other thing I had, which you may want to bring up under the old business, is the EBSE grant resolution that I emailed out.
Yes.
Do you want to do that under old business? Are they under new business?
Or we could just do it now.
So as I had mentioned before, if you look at line 1, the first thing you need to do on line 1 on page, or not line 1, question 1, midway down through page 1, it asks for the percentage of funding. I would really encourage you to put in 15%. At a minimum, you need to go to 20, but we get bonus points if we put in 15%. And this is, the funding from this is from the Volkswagen settlement.
Yep.
And it's
You have to keep giving.
Yes, it does.
a bit more competitive this year. So,
I guess, so this is for the electric car, that we're gonna have an electric, hopefully, if we get the grant, two hookups over here, which we looked into a couple years ago and it kind of fizzled, but how do they get that? They gotta go underneath all that sidewalk and everything to get the power to it and stuff.
I'm not sure.
No, I don't think they.
I don't think they
I think
do.
it goes right to the side of the building.
Yeah.
And the side of the building is actually where the unit is, and then it
And
comes
then
out.
the cord just goes across
Okay,
the sidewalk.
good, I didn't wanna have to, and that's less,
So that we.
And I don't even know if it really attaches. I think it attaches at the base and then
Standalone.
just stands sort of right against it. So it's not actually drilled in, but I'm not certain, but I think.
well, that's all.
This resolution isn't selecting which equipment is gonna be there because there are options for equipment.
Right, right,
And
right.
Jim Sullivan will
Good.
be working on that. This is just step 1. They can't do the application
Yeah.
unless they have the resolution from the trustees here that they're willing to go forward with the project.
Well,
So-
I'd make a motion that we submit a proposal of 15% of total project cost
Yeah.
for competitive.
Anybody want to go 20 or everybody do 50?
Well, it's,
You get no more points if you do 20, but you get extra points if you do 15.
Let's go 15.
Anywhere between 15 and 20, you get the same points, so.
Should we do 15.5 to make sure that we're in front of
So
it?
do you
And
want,
we can use in kind, so if the guys stand out here and do flagging or painting or
Yeah.
anything, we count that as
in kind
towards that, yeah.
When would those go in? The next year or so?
probably
Yeah, I think so.
by
The-
fall, maybe?
Possibly, yeah. The grant application has to be done next week, so there's like no time to waste here.
So what do you need on this right
I
now?
I
How does
need,
that work?
I need 15%
Use the
here.
Charging station.
I need you to sign this, you are the planning commission chair, right?
Uh,
You are in the book.
okay.
Well, in this book, it says.
That's from 2013.
No, in this book.
Oh.
I think
thought-
I'm de facto because when we rebuilt the planning commission, I was the, yeah, I think I'm the chair and Bob House vice chair. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
okay.
I'm sorry,
If the
you-
book
I
says it,
thought
you must be.
We emailed about looking at the
Oh.
work, the village plan. I thought you were
Oh.
talking about the plan. not-
No,
Oh, no, this.
no, this is all right, I can sign this.
Yeah.
So, my understanding of this
Your name
grant
and your
was that
signature.
there's
And John signs.
an understanding that the town would pay the cost of the electricity for at least the first 2 years.
1 year. You have to
1 year.
commit to 1 year.
So it
You
would
can
be,
do
so they'd be
more.
free for the first year at least. And if we figured out what the cost was to us and we just wanted to absorb it, then we could just continue it free. Or if it was too much for us, then the units have built in the system that you can use a card and pay for the
There's
electricity.
different types of charger from what I understand.
Yes.
Superchargers or.
Oh.
Which type are these? Do you know?
We don't know yet, we'll decide what, and I think Jim Sullivan would have a better sense of, what the population of electric vehicles are out there right now. Yeah, there's the Tesla one, which is
It's,
different
no,
than
this
the,
is the level 2 charger. It is the level 2 charger. So Teslas would need an adapter.
Yeah, you can just get it back.
Yeah.
okay.
We
So
have
they
to
have
go
it
to
done by the
college.
town
Yeah.
office?
Yes.
Bennington,
These are,
Probably similar to
they're the
those.
same ones that would be in Bennington, yes.
There's two, I think there's two. I've got
or-
a,
That'd be a great thing.
yes, definitely.
All white electric car.
Any objection over here?
No, no,
a great idea.
Okay.
And then, as soon as Jim gives I'll get this to him tomorrow, and as soon as he sets up a time to review that application with us, I'll let you all know. And hopefully at least one of you, I know Mark Boudreau said he'd be interested in sitting in, but at least one
And then
of
you
you
sign.
should be there.
That's you, you're the CEO, town manager. Whatever.
And it isn't necessary, but if you wish to appoint another trustee as a third person on there, you can, but it's not necessary.
What about the grant administrator? Can that be?
That'll be Sullivan?
No, I think that's Jim.
Yeah, let Jim look at that and decide.
Yeah. I didn't get the feeling that we had to do that part. And that's all I had.
Okay.
So as far as highway and facilities, I know that Norm's been spending a lot of time in the last weeks preparing for the projects that he wants to get started on, and as soon as the ground is ready to do those, including several ditching projects that we have. That would be for West Street, potential for Upper Mechanic Street, and also Overley, and a culvert on Overley as well. But that would be a grant-funded project. I think there's there might be other projects as well, but I'm not certain of which ones.
What he's thinking about right now.
And we're one is that I think that the water department is planning to now replace pipe or add on to their project for Pleasant Street. And so we've been waiting for them to address pipe issues on Pleasant Street so that we could then repave after they're done, but as opposed to repaving Pleasant and then having them go on a new pipe and cutting it up. So if they are able to secure funding to add that on to the improvement project that's going this year, then that would be great, because we can then get that paid.
Yeah, I also just need to put in a plug for, some of the kind of implied promises we made about School Street.
Yeah.
And I think we really need to look at ways of at least making that, I think temporary fixes probably, but really looking at whether there might be some pole movements that could then allow for some changes in the sidewalk. But it's a mess, and I don't know that there's room for any widening there, but we've got to kind of go visit the site and wrap our head around something that we might be able to do there.
Yeah, and I was thinking a crazy idea, of saying, well, why couldn't the school parking lot be go through? But then I looked at, and it can't, because there's another property right in the back of the parking lot, so there's no way that you could go all the way through.
Oh, no, you can't there, yeah.
But ideally, that would be great if there could be a way for parents to go through there to drop off, so that they're not stopping on the roadway, and actually stopping on school property too.
I mean, one thing would be to just more aggressively enforce the drop-off on Church Street, which is where the drop-offs are supposed to occur. But, as people who live there also point out, it's being used as a thoroughfare to avoid the Bank Street intersection. I'm not sure about that, but I want to look and see. There is the possibility we're going to be taking a few trees out there and replanting, that maybe there is a way to create a pull-in on that side of the building as well. I mean, that would obviously be working with the school. So that there's, you know,
There's space there, but what's the best
whether you
use
wanna
of the
give-
space?
right.
Yeah.
I mean, if those two trees are gonna come out, that would be a spot where you could create probably 50 feet of car width, hole in, which would leave the actual school street such that it is open.
I wonder what I'm just trying to think back to the scoping study that was done, and for each area that they recommended to address, they did recommend a course of action for that. Like, and the first one in the scoping study that we wanted to address was this Upper Main Street, which we then got the grant and did. So I'm wondering what their suggestion was for that street, because I know it was on there.
I mean, for the sidewalks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it exists. We'll have to look it up.
But that is, I think the goal is to have high traffic areas addressed on a more, consistent basis, and that certainly is one. So it may be worth effort and say, PCRC, can we?
Do a study.
Well, I don't, and the homeowner, mentioned to me, I don't want to do one of these study things that's
Oh.
3 years and then
Ah.
2 more years to apply for a grant and then 4 more years to actually do the thing.
Sure.
So, and I get that. But if we personally, if we as the village commissioned the study and said, look, give us recommendations in the next 90 days, I think that's a possibility, is to do a not to apply for federal funding for a scoping study, but rather just say, we just want to pay for a
Excellent.
consultant or
Was
whatever.
there ever a master plan street study done that might have been part of, or kind of the whole town, or as far as like just someone looking at the whole town and
Oh.
doing a study, or?
No, I mean,
I don't think so.
when the bonding was done in the school and we decided, it was clear we wanted to move traffic off of School Street.
Yeah.
And so the front of the building kind of became the other side. It's not used the way it should be. And so it's really, it partly is a matter of ticketing cars aggressively that are parked on School Street.
Yeah.
And I'd probably be the first one to get the ticket,
But-
but
Or Aaron.
Just, no, but I mean, in terms of, there's times when the entire, like all parents need to be on
Right.
campus, and so what do you do?
Well, you
at
have
those
a
times?
15-minute parking, and then if they're there picking up their kids, they're not staying forever. They pull in,
I
they
think
park,
it's-
they leave.
But there's things,
But
there are
it's talking
events.
about the drop up, but for events when it's,
Fantastic Fridays, a bunch of parents want to
yeah,
show up.
or,
get one.
there's like the science fair that almost everyone goes to, or there's certain events where the entire school needs to, like, parents
Isn't it
are-
during certain hours? I forget, I think I
Right, and
read
I don't
this.
know if it's just drop off that is the, I mean, it sounds like that's the main concern, but there's never gonna be a.
No, at the meeting,
I mean,
the
there's
town
not enough
meeting, they
parking.
said that there were people parked there all the time.
All the time. That's the ones you gotta start with.
But those are things that we may be able to address, though, is that if we can certainly do a skim coat, we can certainly, try to address a sidewalk thing, or a pole moving, or a sign, or a different sign, and then we can sort of see if that improves anything, and that's not spending a ton of, throwing a bunch of money, or wasting a bunch of money. That's, saying, well, maybe adjusting certain things or tweaking certain things may improve. If it doesn't, then we have to look at a bigger solution.
Yeah, I'm just
but-
thinking that, I mean, I don't know so there's people parking on School Street for hours? But they should be parking then? on the
Well,
other-
and I think it's, so there's a lot of reasons for that, I think. Like, some of them are homeowners without driveways.
Right.
Some of them are school staff because there's no parking in the parking lot,
Yeah.
And so they're there, I mean, That's probably most of them.
Yeah, no, that's,
There's nowhere to park.
Right, I mean, that's the problem, there's nowhere to park,
Yeah.
is a bigger problem. I
we
think.
created like 2 more spots there when we redid that, it's not near enough.
It's not
And
enough.
whether we have to pull up, you know,
So if you have 33 staff and not everyone drives,
you know, parking ramp.
There's the there's the parking lot behind the gas station, right? I mean, I don't know how many spots are there. I mean, that's a-
That is a municipal lot, and we could improve that section, and if people are willing to walk, you know, 50 yards.
and then tell people that it's there. Like I'm thinking of people that I work with that really had no idea.
No,
Yeah.
right.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I knew that, but I didn't know it was there.
Yep.
All right, well, I've got it in my calendar, we're gonna go take a look. First day I'm off.
Is there other, I'm thinking of, so I know that Royal was another issue that that had been raised at town meeting, but are there other major paving problems that people have in their heads just driving around, or?
Those are the 3 that come to mind,
Okay.
and I think we gotta focus on that if we can get any traction.
Okay. And we talked earlier about the issue for Chris to look at on Water Street in terms of development review board. I don't think we have anything from the planning commission. There was a really wonderful fireman's dinner the other night at the college, and it's really impressive to see the length of time that people serve on the North Bennington Fire Department, and also concerning in some ways because you've got 4 people that have served 2 years, but 10 people that have served 50 years. So it tells you.
Yeah, you see some youngsters though, and there was a college, you know, if you could get some more
there's a
college
college
people
student,
involved,
yeah.
that would be
And
great.
a college faculty.
That's right.
I didn't see him.
He wasn't there, he was there last year, but he wasn't there this year.
Okay. But
No, thanks to them for putting that on,
Yeah.
and it's always, the college does a great job, and the food was great, and stuff.
Water board, I've asked them to have Ted send us a note each month to give us an update on where the project stands, so that we know where the project is in terms of actually being completed, and what's been spent in any change orders and things like that, just so that we have just the basic information. It's not like a comprehensive thing, but just so that we're up to speed on where it is. So right now, they've been approved for the bid process, and it's gonna go to bid in the next couple weeks. So they have been given a conditional go-ahead to do the project, which is excellent. There's one environmental report that's still required to be submitted, but I think that's just one of those ones that takes a while to get back from the state. So it doesn't. I asked, and it didn't seem like there was any concern that the reason it was being delayed is because it was not good or something. It was just a processing thing. Okay, so that's all I have from them. So one item that is on the agenda for tonight for new business is the funding for CAT TV. I received an email, let's see here, sorry. Unfortunately, it was a couple months ago, and I apologize that we haven't got it till now, but Lisa Beyer sent me an email about how their funding structure has been changed on them, not by their choice, but through regulatory process. They're basically facing a $20,000 funding shortfall year-over-year basis, so like just for the year, because of new accounting practices. So there is an ongoing dispute in federal court, and they're hoping to fight this, but at the same time, they have to make their budget, and so what they're introducing is a contract with the municipalities that would be based on essentially the number of meetings that you have in a month. And so we have 12 meetings annually. The average length is 1.5 hours. Hopefully I can keep it to that tonight. And they are proposing an hourly rate of $50 an hour, which is very reasonable for the service that we get for this. And that's a total of $900 for the year.
So moved.
Okay, so
I
yeah.
mean, we
Yeah,
we talked about this before, but I think we just need to do it. And I presume they're going to the school board as well and asking us, you know, probably a similar amount for the meetings we have.
I think the school boards were handling by going to central office.
Oh, Central's gonna pay
They're
something.
Figuring stuff out.
Okay.
It's a lot more complicated.
I'm
on the
sure.
school side.
Yeah,
But this would be the municipal funding structure, but, and it would go according to me. So like if Bennington has a weekly meeting, then they're more for that, and if somebody has a bi-monthly, whatever. So,
so I'll
there's
move
a motion
to allocate
to-
$900 per annum to CAT TV for the coverage they provide.
would somebody want to propose possibly an amendment to allow for a different amount if they changed it, and that, because I'm just thinking, again, if it is, actually, if they're saying it's additional, like if we call a special meeting and we actually want them to come, then it would be more, so it might end up being $950 or $975
right.
or something, so would it?
Well, I don't
just
think
to-
they're asking, is this the 900 a proposed set amount, or are they saying they're going to charge us $50 for every hour that they're here?
I think it's a contract, it's not gonna be I don't know if it's a contract, let me see.
I propose that we provide a minimum, as we wait for the outcome of any of
It is
these
a
federal
contract.
court actions, we would pay $900 plus any other exceptional costs or time over the averaged, 12, 18 hour. Does that work?
Yes.
I want to be flexible with that. I don't see it as being a huge expense. I think the resource is worth at least that to the community.
Is there a second?
Second.
And is there any discussion on that motion? I'd just like to say that I completely agree with Matthew that this is an important
Yeah.
resource for our community, because a lot of people can't come to these meetings, and this is a great opportunity to get involved on your own schedule. At the same time, I just want to reiterate that I'm really angry about the reason that this is happening, because I think it's the cable company's responsibility to pay for these services, because
It always was.
We're all-
required of them.
paying an arm and a leg for those, for that service that they provide. So anyways, I thank them for taking up that fight in the federal court, and I hope that they prevail, and that it's shown that this is not the way that they should be doing business. So with that said, I approve, would have no objection to this motion, and I don't think anybody else does either, so that would carry unanimously. And the only other issue is the sale of our truck to the town of Shaftesbury. Norm's been coordinating with their road manager, and I've talked to Tim Scoggins about that briefly. And I think that the best way to handle that transaction would just be to have a bill of sale and have it execute on the day that we do the transaction. So they pay for the truck and we deliver the truck on the same day.
Mhm.
And so whether, we just figure out what that day is gonna be essentially. So if, you know, if they need the truck between now and the day that we sell it, we can loan them the truck, that's not a problem. If we need the truck after the date that they purchase it, I don't think that's gonna be a problem, but we'll let them decide that. But the only point that's difficult here is that it's our only truck, so with the dumping capability like that, so if we need to run loads of gravel or something like that for Park Street or whatever, you know, it's minimal when what we use it for in the summertime, but if we don't have it because they have it, then we have we don't have another truck to do that with. So I think that the best thing is just for Norm to continue to coordinate what that date is going to be, and it's not going to. It sounds like it's not going to be before our next meeting, so I'm just going to put that off until the next meeting. But what we've negotiated. Well, anyway, so I think if the date gets pushed out, then maybe we can be somewhat flexible on the price or whatever. But it's a great deal for both of us,
Yep.
I think. So I really appreciate Shaftesbury
Doing it.
yeah, working with us on that. Okay. And that is my list. So I have new business and any old business.
I have one, I don't know if it's old, this may have been new. Green Up Vermont Day, I'm still planning May 4th, Saturday, May 4th. I think we're gonna try to do something, and I'll try to put it in Front Porch Forum, or get it up, maybe the library would let me put it up. Maybe 10 to 12, Bennington College is gonna get involved, so hoping to get some, I'm just coordinating with the Bennington, I think it's, someone who works in the Bennington road department. But anyway, I've written to him, so I'm coordinating getting bags and things like that, so, and I'll talk to Norm.
Well, that's coming up. That'll,
Yeah, volunteers.
Okay.
I'll get you.
Yeah,
some.
Can we also, I think almost equally as important as the bags in our new climate environment is the bug spray. Because of the ticks that
Oh,
we
yeah, yeah,
encounter
yeah.
on the
Yeah.
side of the road
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
So if that's possible, that'd be great, just so that when people are picking up their bags, they can also do their
That's
pant
great.
legs.
Okay, great. I'll talk to, Bennington College is gonna maybe do some drinks and things like that, so maybe we can do bug spray too. Tick spray.
Or we could.
I've got
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. Stay tuned.
I'll
Just that
I'll
it's
just
there.
wear my Seresto collar. you know.
Right. I think that's what we're gonna need. Any other business that we need to, I think Mary and I are gonna pursue our accountants on getting that audit finished up, because I think we're really waiting with bated breath on that one.
Jeff?
I have a
Yes, sir.
question, it's a highway-related question.
Yes, sir.
The road, I think it's College Road, that where Jamaica lives?
Yeah.
Is there a reason why there's not a center line painted on there? There's a really bad corner there where most of the time if you're going towards the college.
There is a center line, it's just,
North side of the road.
we painted it 2 years ago and it's worn.
It definitely needs to be repainted, because
Yeah. Well, there never was one, ever, before, and then we got that new paint thing, we painted it. And we did the fog side stripes, but anytime in a road there's a curve, that's where the tires wear.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I just noticed yesterday, I think, coming onto College Road from Harlan Road, I was thinking to myself, oh, that paint's looking pretty good. Like, it actually is painted really nicely at that end.
Yeah, I guess it's just.
We
like-
did
So
the
that's
whole
funny
road,
that
but it's
it's
worn,
not-
it's worn there.
Totally
Remember
gone
when
there.
the big tree stump out?
Yep.
Huh.
Last year on that corner, a lot of times people coming this way, they're, halfway Deer Lane here, so
Yeah.
it seems like if we could get a line right there, it might
Yeah, I don't know where Norm's at right now with the line painting system that we acquired and we used. We haven't used it
I
much
think
since
since the
then.
paving last year, he put off like doing the sidewalk, but a lot of, I think, need to be redone.
Yeah,
So-
well, that's what, this is when he'll start doing that again.
Yeah.
He'll go out and do all the, but that,
I think if memory serves, I think we did improve the capability of that, of the line. So, because the lines, if you notice, are thinner than they
Right.
normally look on a road. But that, we were able to fix that last year. If it had something to do with the pressure,
Yeah.
because it couldn't, if they widened the stream of paint, it didn't have enough pressure to put a good thing, but they fixed that, I think.
Well, maybe
yeah, we'll look into
just
that.
take a look at that spot.
Typically, those, like the crosswalks and things like that, don't get done until July, but
Right.
this year, because they've all been done with the
Tapes and stuff
yeah,
here.
with the tapes, we may be able to do stuff earlier in other areas because we won't need to do that later, so.
Well, I think the one at the bottom of Main Street, like Tim Smith's building, is pretty much worn off.
Yeah, because that one wasn't done, wasn't taped.
That one could-
They'll be
That's-
out,
that's-
they'll do a night where they go out, John will join them and they'll.
Well, I don't know, I think we could do that one
Daytime.
during day, because that side, you can close up, it's the main street that you have to do in the middle of the night, because you can't stop
That's
people
true,
from driving down Main
walking
Street.
around, hours.
Yeah. Okay, so I can mention the College Road one,
Right.
but I know that he knows about the one by Pangea. I know-
Oh, yeah.
I- He's on that, I know he's on that one.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I got one
Oh.
other thing, sorry, I just thought about it. The librarians at McCullough
Right.
Library had asked if I would put forth an offer that should the trustees wish to think about it for next year's annual meeting, they would offer some kind of a kids program at the village school library in case that would boost attendance. So there's time to think about it, but they just wanted to offer that service.
That would bring in a good demographic that we don't usually see at the meeting. That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. The meeting is 7:30 though, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's
Young-
too late.
young kids are already
Kids
turning.
in bed. Okay. I
But-
mean, it's a wonderful idea.
Absolutely.
well, why do we have to have the meeting at 7:30 at night?
It's because it's in the charter.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
You can go through that chart.
We're gonna go through the charter.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I absolutely agree that thinking of ways to get more people in, I really think Bennington College too is untapped because there's no reason that 20 students can't come down and actively participate. I mean, they're residents of our community, so. I would now entertain a motion
I will
to
make
adjourn.
a second motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Okay, no,